I wanted to do, first of all, welcome everybody today. It's a summer, hot day where I am and a sunny day. So if that's what you are experiencing where you are, thank you so much for joining us. And I hope you do get outside a little bit today and have a little bit of self-care. And hopefully this podcast is part of your self-care plan for the day. I just wanted to recap what we've learned in the first three sessions. If you are joining in today for the first time in this series, I encourage you, once the editing is done, to read and listen to the other three in our series, and just to do a recap of where we've been. Zachary, can you just do a very brief recap of what you led in terms of the care literacy and describing care experience?
Sure. So glad to be here with everyone today. And as Donna said, this is we're at the end of a four-part series, and they're all integrated and they all work together. And to use the metaphor, Donna, that we started with, we started very with a microscope, a very focused examination of what we feel and think amidst the care experience, and how caregiving, despite whether we call ourselves a caregiver or not, changes and transforms us as we go from that loved one to caregiver status, and really examining how it changes our relationship with our family and friends, our existing networks. We talked about how we perceive other people and how connected or disconnected we feel for a variety of reasons, and how difficult it is to be able to map and talk about this experience, Donna, in ways that fits with our pre-existing relationships. We also talked about the scripts that we are familiar with, our pre-existing relationship with our loved one, whether that's a spousal relationship or a parental relationship or a child relationship, how that is upended and changed. And we went through a series of exercises to dive deep into what is similar and what is different, what competes in those scripts, and what is threatening to us in terms of our previous relationship identity, as well as our caregiving realities. We talked about ways of thinking and talking about our experiences, and that's what we mean by care literacy. If we don't begin thinking about how care changes us and our relationships, we can't get to what you really talked about, Donna, in the last session and today.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Zachary, in all the conversations that we've had, probably thousands now of conversations that you and I have had, we talk a lot about this idea that if we can't explain our care experience to ourselves and begin to understand the meaning of it in our lives, then it's very difficult to act in our own best self-interests in the context of the extended family, the immediate family, and in the community. So you really need to start with being able to explain what the heck is going on. Then we did an exercise in what's called care mapping, and that's drawing out to visualize all of the care relationships in your life. So these could be even pets, siblings, children, neighbors, friends, extended family, and of course all of the medical professionals that are often in our lives. Drawing that out in combination with being able to talk about it, and drawing out changes if we're going through transitions in care. So if you're going into the hospital or you're going into long-term care, you're caring for someone, a parent maybe, who's going into a nursing home or assisted living, all of a sudden your life is upended, but drawing out those relationships of who's helping, who do you depend on for having a coffee and venting, who do you depend on for providing foot care to your mother. All of these myriad of relationships are easier to begin to understand if we look at them and we're able to develop the language to explain them. So then we looked at beginning to explore community and mining for hidden resources in the community. Um, and getting an idea of what's out there in your neighborhood and even in your extended family puts you in a position to begin to think about how to leverage those resources and that potential source of help at home. I think one of the premises that we work on, Zachary, is that care is best done as a team. When you try to do everything all by yourself and be all things to that person you're caring for, we know from personal experience and from talking to other caregivers so frequently, all the time, every day, that is really a recipe for burnout. Trying to do everything for years on end is a recipe for burnout. And it's also not good for the person you're looking after. We all need some change in life. We need a variety of supports in order to be healthy. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So can you just advance the slide,
Sure.
Zachary? Thanks. So in the last session, we talked about identifying the needs, and we talked about even just start with 3 needs. Identify what you would like someone else to help with. And then we talked about what are the resources in the community where you could go to get that kind of help. Today, we're going to think about people. So looking at this list as an example, more home care. So personal support for my mom. So yeah, of course, there are those resources that are sort of out there, those impersonal resources that we could approach. Your insurance company, if you're Canadian, your provincial government is going to provide some level of personal support at home. Caregiver online support groups. But if you're thinking about hiring some private care, for example, you might not necessarily need somebody with a medical qualification. You might be looking at the grown son or daughter of a friend who happens to be out of a job right now because they got laid off from COVID. So we're looking today at how to find people in your life, more or less, as opposed to resources and resources. So who are you going to ask? Who you know, or friends of friends? Let's think about people specifically to address these particular needs.